annyeonghaseyo. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I call this, Seth MacFarlane's cavalcade of cartoon comedy. Well, this is Fucker Supreme's cavalcade of shitty Valorant opinions. Now today, I have the boy, the myth, the legend, Karitatsu. He's back again to do another lovely video. But today we're gonna do. This is actually a segment of a part of a larger video that I want to make. That's basically just ranting about Deathmatch in Valorant and how I think it's, although not the shittiest mode in the game, I mean, it's debatable that it is, but it's definitely the least enjoyable mode in the game. Do you have anything you want to say before we start actually ranking the maps and everything? You can see the screen, right?
Yeah, what's good, y'all? It's your boy, Karitatsu. Yeah, honestly, I feel like Valorant's, just like map production has gone to like the shit factory or something. I don't know what's going on with their design team. Maybe they're smoking that Overwatch or something, but it's not working out.
Bro, I don't know. They're on the top shelf booth, bro. I don't know. It's
for real. But yeah, honestly, the game state of how these maps are is vastly different, obviously, in like the actual game versus Deathmatch. But I would say like some maps are most definitely worse when you play Deathmatch, but are obviously a lot more fun in the actual game.
Absolutely.
But we'll get to that later for sure.
I think the thing that I want to highlight with this video is that this is kind of like an add-on to the previous Abyss Sucks video that we just made, and a lot of the complaints that we're gonna have about Deathmatch directly kind of, it's kind of like a couple video to the other one, because a lot of the critiques that I have about playing certain maps in Deathmatch are directly related to what I don't like about the maps, as you could probably very easily figure out. I think the first things first, we're just going to go down the line here. I found this tier list that was up to Fracture, but I added all the maps, so we got, Ascent, Bind, Breeze, Fracture, all the stars are here. So I guess we can just start, alphabetically with Ascent.
I just want to clarify before we go on. This is still strictly Deathmatch.
Yeah, this is Deathmatch. This is Deathmatch.
Right,
We will probably do a separate video about just ranking maps in general, and some of my opinions do directly coincide with the Deathmatch opinions. I'm sure you can figure out which ones those are, but for the most part, they are different. Where would you put Ascent? I personally think Ascent is a pretty good Deathmatch map. My only problem with this map is that the spawns on this map are fucking god-awful. Honestly, shit, I don't even know if I could level that as a critique, because literally all the spawns in Deathmatch are bad, but some of them are clearly vastly worse than others. And Ascent, it has some of the worst one, because on, I believe it's on B site or A site, I don't remember which site it's on. There's the spawn up in heaven, where there's literally 3 people stacked on top of each other. There's one guy heaven, another guy hiding in glass door, and then there's another guy out in garden. I forget which site it's on. And
I'm pretty sure it's A site.
Yeah, that is A site. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's one of the worst spawns in literally all of Deathmatch. It is infamously terrible. It is the thing that makes people rage quit out of the fucking game mode the most. But besides that, I would say most of Ascent spawns, and just the fact, a lot of how this ranking goes is, 1, how fair are the spawns? 2, how easy it is to exploit, because there are a lot of spots on a lot of these maps that are very easy to just rack up kills for free. 3, how likely it is that you're going to be spawning into, well, that's hard to determine, but let's say how likely it is for you to spawn into a firefight. For all of those, I personally would put Ascent in like high B tier, maybe the back of A tier. There are really...
That's crazy. I was thinking the same thing, honestly.
Oh, really? Yeah, no. The spawns on this map are stinky, really stinky, but they're not as bad as other maps. This map could be made infinitely worse if you could spawn in T-spawn. If they put spawns in T-spawn, I think people would easily put this like here. But I think personally, I'd put this at like the back of A. Let's just put it in A for now, but it's at the back of A. I think that's a fair spot for it. I've had many really good... This map is great for actually practicing things. Another thing we also have to talk about, because it's Deathmatch, is the fact that Deathmatch is a game mode where, yes, it's heavily incentivized for you to use Vandal and just kill as many people as possible, but you have to remember, you can play Deathmatch any way you want. Even if you're a shitty fucking op camper who sucks ass, you can do that. There's no rule against it. You're just gonna piss everyone else off in the lobby. And that's fine. You are welcome to do whatever you want in Deathmatch. That you can actually play pretty much any gun on this map and it'll be somewhat viable. You don't have to like give up on it. Unlike some of the other maps where there's certain guns that are just literally impossible to use. Bind, I don't think anyone's going to disagree that this is probably the only S-tier Deathmatch map, I think. This one I have almost no problems with. The spawns can be bad, but they're almost always fair. Even the ones where you know that there's a guy like holding you around the corner, they're almost always fair. You at least have a shot to fight back. It's not like where you're going to be sniped from fucking 180 degrees from a dude that you can't see. That happens a lot less frequently on Bind. And you can play any gun on this map and it'll be viable very easily. You can also, it's much easier to practice your gunfight hygiene on that map. It's not as oppressive, I don't feel. In my personal experience, it doesn't feel as oppressive as other maps. Some maps feel so horrible that even queuing into them makes me just want to fucking break my entire computer. So, Bind gets a pass. And keep in mind, we're saying this is like the best of a bad bunch. So none of these are actually good. S tier on this tier list is like C tier in any other game in game mode, I think, personally. But I think Bind is literally the best of a bad lot.
Honestly, no, my rating is completely the same. For me personally, and I won't spoil it, but I do think there is one other S map in the remaining maps left other than Bind, in my opinion. But I do agree, I especially for Deathmatch, I do love playing some Bind. That is true.
Mm-hmm. And moving right along after that, here's our first shit map. Breeze sucks. It's really bad. This is going to be a trend of deathmatch maps, which is a big reason why I have a huge problem with this game mode, is that Breeze and a bunch of maps like this that we've already critiqued in just their map design are maps that feel like they were not designed to be in Valorant, and especially not designed to be in Deathmatch. The thing is with Deathmatch is that being good at Deathmatch doesn't necessarily translate to you being good in a comp game. People are very well aware of this. However, it does show you consistency of the things that you are able to achieve within a game. Breeze makes that almost impossible because all the spawns on this map are dog shit. They spawn you in places with literally zero cover against a dude who is pretty much has sight on you, probably heard where you spawned and is already aiming you and killing you. And you can't use half the guns on this map because the sight lines are just too fucking huge. So you're just kind of left to use the Guardian, the Vandal, or the Op. Even the Sheriff falls off here because you're fighting like 40 meter plus angle, so that means two-shotting with the Sheriff. And that can be very, very unreliable when you're shooting someone from downrange from 45 to 50 meters, where at that point, first shot accuracy becomes damn near non-existent unless you're aiming down sights. So, yeah, this map stinks. It's fucking trash for Deathmatch. If I was rating this on its competitive viability and what I like about the map, I'd probably put it in C tier. But for Deathmatch, this has got to be one of the worst ones for sure. It's terrible.
Yeah, D for dog. That is for sure. That's not for me. I'm good off Breeze. We're
really
good.
Bad. Yeah, just the amount of abuse that you can do on this map is just so bad. Fighting for mid on this map, fighting on any of the sites, none of them are good. They all suck. Moving on. Fracture. Now, I haven't played Deathmatch on Fracture in a minute, so I do not remember a lot of this map. But from what I remember, I don't think it was the worst thing ever. I think it was just kind of bad, so I think I'm safe to put it in C tier. I might be persuaded to move it up to B tier, but admittedly, Fracture hasn't been in the rotation for like, what, 8 months or something? So
something like that, yeah, most of the year. Yeah, I don't know. Fracture was just alright. I mean, I'm also mainly thinking of just like playing other game modes other than DM, because I feel like I've played the least amount of DM in Fracture actually. Yeah. But personally, I think it's alright. I think, and I mean, this obviously goes with the Breeze placement as well, but I think any map that has like a huge like angle disparity, like you could be spawned on top of heaven, or you can be in hell, or you can be in a lot of different places, and then there's also like long corridors, that's just like, I don't know, like I can see that as being very not fun. Fracture doesn't suffer from the same things as Breeze directly, because there's like, a lot of the spots that are elevated, they're wall bangable, and so on and so forth, and there's just some other things that are alright with the map, but yeah, I think that's a fair placement. For me, it could also be bottom of B, I wouldn't mind that, but C is fair. I think C is fair.
I think so. I mean, all of these, the problems that I will outline in the Deathmatch video itself apply to literally all of these maps, but Fracture doesn't suffer. Fracture and the other maps above it and probably some other maps that we're going to rank very soon, don't suffer from the problems as much. The problems get out of hand when it comes to the real doo-doo dog shit maps. So, yeah, I think Fracture C. It's also hard to really judge my opinion on this map when I haven't played it in a while. And Deathmatch always runs the competitive maps within the Deathmatch queue. So that is going to change a lot of how some of the placements of these go. So now we have Haven. We literally just played on this map not, 5-10 minutes ago? I would put Haven as B. But this is because this map is just genuinely pretty good. There are some really stinky fucking spawns on this map. Really bad ones. But they're not as oppressive, like I said, with Breeze. Breeze is just genuinely terrible. You spawn anywhere on this map, you're going to get killed pretty much immediately. Same thing with a lot of other ones. But Haven is another map where you at least have a fighting chance. You may be spawning in a very unfortunate spot where a dude's already shooting you and he can hear you, but at least you're not going to get immediately just sniped in the head before you can react a lot of the time. It still does happen. In fact, it literally just happened in the last fucking game I had, but it doesn't happen as bad. It does happen, though. That's just a deathmatch problem. Yeah, I think Haven's either B. I could even be persuaded to put it up at back of A tier as well, but I think B is a good spot for it.
I think B's pretty fair. Personally, for me, I don't know if this comes as surprising or not, but I actually enjoy Haven more than Ascent in terms of deathmatch. I kind of feel like it does have some elevation problems.
It does.
But I think just the spawns feel a lot better in general because I feel like there's less like claustrophobic areas that you can have multiple people spawning in like a long area or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's a lot easier to take ones or even take multiple fights per se. So I personally enjoy it, but B I think is it's also understandable.
I wish more maps were like Haven where they don't just spawn you in the spawns because there's no cover out there. They do still spawn you on the spawns in Haven, but they're not there. You can usually fight back, and they usually still spawn you close to the action. The only really bad parts of Haven are B window and like B connector to C. Those are like probably the worst areas of the map. Everything else is probably okay. C can be kind of hard to fight sometimes, but it's not that bad. Yeah, I think that's all there is to say. Moving on to another dog shit fucking map. Holy fuck, this is the worst deathmatch map in the game. Icebox is legitimately the reason why we made the video giving a Valorant critique, because this map right here perfectly illustrates the point that this shit should have never been in the fucking game in the first place. They clearly did not design this map to be in deathmatch. If you ever played Icebox on deathmatch, it is a fucking hellhole. Every single spot that you're spawning on the map, you're gonna get instantly shot in the head. It is legitimately one of the most pain-inducing, agonizing things to do in this game. It is fucking abysmal. The fact that it's even in this the deathmatch pool in the way that it's designed. Nothing about Icebox works at all. It is legitimately, for me, probably the worst deathmatch map in the game. And as much as I don't like Icebox in concept, it's weird to me that I like it more in comp because at least I can work around its shittiness a lot easier. But in deathmatch, I'm fucked. I can be spawned a number of places in spawn. Anywhere pretty much in mid, I'm dead. There's no cover there. Anywhere on both the sides, there's no cover. You're guaranteed to get hit with a 180 from some dude at some point that you can't clear. There's no way you're ever going to be able to win most of your fights on Icebox unless you get really lucky or you're just a god of deathmatch, which I am, so it's not that big of a deal. But despite that, despite the funny business, the monkey business, yeah, that map is horrible. Genuinely probably the worst ones.
Oh yeah, D for deserved. Definitely needs to be on the bottom. I would say the only time I've ever really truly enjoyed this map is when we had that snowball event that never came back.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was out for a bit and then just vaporized. Riot, please bring that back. I think a lot of people actually thought it was kind of
Only for
fun.
Christmas,
It was
I
a
think
mini
that-
game.
yeah.
And we kind of need. I feel like we need more of those festive events. Just to kind of segue out a little bit for a second. We need more of those events, and we gotta have I feel like maps like Icebox, even though that most people do not like them, they would go crazy with as a Christmas event. I'm laughing right here.
Absolutely.
I think Abyss is a crazy Halloween event. Changed my mind. I could see that now being crazy.
You know what, brother? I might have to call up Riot Games right now. I have to call up Tencent because you got $1 million idea right there. No,
yeah.
I agree. Everything that we've already talked about Icebox is like, why is this map like even in the game? It's just so fucking bad. Everything about it reeks of just bad design, and Deathmatch just makes all those qualities that we already talked about even fucking worse. And yeah, bring back a snowball fight and put it on Icebox. It's literally the perfect map for it. Like, that's the only good thing about Icebox at all. That's it. Moving on to Abyss. And I know this map is new, and I know we already made a video about it, and my opinions of this map have still not changed. And I think it's fair to put it pretty much right here. I honestly have a hard time. I could be persuaded that this could go here, honestly. I think Breeze is slightly better than the both of these. I think there's a lot more that you can do, but honestly, all of them can be moved around. They can all be in any position. It doesn't matter. They're all fucking bad. All these maps suck ass, and playing them on Deathmatch really allows you to see how horrible it is to fight on maps with just no cover. Abyss might be the worst of this of all of them, but honestly, it's really hard. These two are a fucking toss-up. I don't know which one is worse. The most death matches that I played on Abyss, none of them were enjoyable. Everyone was complaining. People are just camping in corners. You walk out 2 feet. You're clearing 7 angles at once. You get shot in the head. Rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. The spawns are atrocious. You can fall off the map. Nothing about it is good. It sucks.
Honestly, I feel like I haven't played enough deathmatch specifically on Abyss to make that judgment. I do feel like it does make sense just going off of the perspective of playing on Breeze and Icebox and how I feel about those.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna throw in the idea that, you know, you've brought up multiple times before. I feel like some maps just need to be modified for deathmatch to make it make sense. I mean, personally, a site on Abyss, I think, is not too bad of, you know, an area to fight on. Obviously, when it comes to B and mid, it's, you know, just a whole clusterfuck. Like, it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
But I feel like, you know, certain parts could be modified. Maybe we even just cut off half the map. And I feel like, you know, Abyss might be fun to play deathmatch on. I mean, I don't know. We're just laughing ideas here.
I mean, either that or move all the spawns up. Like, remove CT and T side even being a spawn point. Shift all the, like, add some barriers, right? So that way people are forced to fight more in mid and more closer angles. I think the map would be a lot more enjoyable just in general to play on for deathmatch. And I will agree with you that A side on Abyss is better. I still hate both sides on this map. There's literally nothing on Abyss that I like except for the aesthetic. Everything about that map to me I hate. I don't like fighting on it at all. It just always feels really unbalanced. Even on A site, the post-plant spam on both of them it's just so bad and so hard to fight on. It's just genuinely not enjoyable in any capacity for me personally. If you don't have a problem with the map, that's great. You're one of the, like, 99.9% of people, or sorry, you're the literal 1% of people who actually found some enjoyment in the map, but I'm happy that you can see some shit that I can't, because that map, I genuinely would petition it to be removed from the game. I hate it that much. It's horrible. In the state that it's in, it needs to be reworked. It needs to be taken out of comp queue, rework the map, or just make a new one that's better. That's my personal take on it. And for deathmatch, it just makes that process even more shitty. Moving on to splits. Where would you put Split? I like Split a lot, but this map has some really bad spawns.
I will give my rating, I think, after you go over your points, because I think I have kind of a set idea, but I want to see, you know, maybe.
Okay, you want to cook? You want me to cook off me? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I would personally put Split basically. My opinion of it has gone up the more I played on it, so I'm tempted to put it over here, but I could also put it here. It's hard. Split, I like Split a lot for deathmatch. It's almost really, really good. There are some problem areas, especially when you're fighting, like, for example, A sites. Well, shit, both A and B, there's some problems there where you're just kind of fighting a long-ass corridor, but at least you can re-peek. You have options to get out of cover and stuff. Some spawns on this map are really, really bad, but they're not too terrible. My biggest complaint with Split, honestly, is that I feel like more than most other death matches, I feel like you get respawned in the exact same places here than most other places, but that's honestly probably just an RNG thing that I've experienced, because as far as I can tell, Deathmatch's spawn rates are completely random, and in essence that doesn't sound like a bad idea, but in practice it's horrible, because there will be plenty of times in any Deathmatch map where you'll be spawned into the same angle against the same enemy that just killed you 5-6 times in a row with no change in pattern at all. I had one game on Haven actually a couple days ago where it spawned 5 enemies in Cubby on C. 5 times in a row. I walk back, they spawn. I walk back, they spawn. It's just, I don't know. But that's a bigger problem with Deathmatch as the game mode itself. So yeah, I'd probably put Split either. Honestly, it could go in either or, but I think I will... let me put this back here. Yeah, it's not better than Ascent, so I put Split around here.
Okay, I think, yeah, no, everything you said was valid. I think, you know, you would think this is crazy coming from, you know, a person who's been playing since fucking beta. It's gross how long I've been playing this game. But even though, you know, this is one of the fucking oldest maps in the game, I think it's just super solid. This is my other secret S tier. And the reason why I say that is I'm going to throw in a point you made earlier about, you know, using different guns in the game. I think Split is the perfect map to just use different guns in the game. Especially, I mean, I could even argue, like, for, like, a new player. I don't know if we're going to take that angle, but, you know, for, like, a new player, say they, you know, aren't familiar with the guns or whatever, Split's a perfect map where you could try that out. You know, you can pull out the Frenzy, you know, pretty much almost anywhere on Split. I don't think we could say that for a majority of the maps.
This is pretty much the only map where that is definitely... This is definitely... If we're talking about just gun viability, this map would be probably the best in the game at this. Either this or Bind. Both of these maps, you can use literally any gun and they will be viable. You will find a scenario where it is useful. If we want to find a middle ground, I guess we would move Split to there.
Yeah, I think that's a good spot for me personally. Yeah. I like that. I like that.
All right, moving on to Pearl. Now, I have not played that much Deathmatch on Pearl. When I did play Deathmatch on Pearl, I didn't really like it that much. I didn't hate it, though. I thought it was kind of not great, so I'd probably put it just, like, right behind Fracture. But I don't remember. I mean, Pearl hasn't been in the fucking comp queue for, like, also, like, 8 months, just like Fracture. So I honestly don't remember. I don't have a lot of that fresh memory in my head to remember things. I do remember that there were some really bad spawns on Pearl, so that knocks it down a little bit too. Plus the map design for a B site is just so bad for Deathmatch that also brings it down a lot. So yeah, you can see the growing trend of the maps in the stinky tier and the maps in the pretty good tier. Yeah.
So Pearl, which I always consider Valorant's Dust 2. But you can't tell me it's not like Dust 2. They got the double doors in Dust 2. The A, I guess the A and B sites are switched, but you know, that long corridor on site entrance, which is A site for CS, is the same for B site on Valorant, and then the A site entrance is practically the same, you know, as going through tunnel in Dust 2. So I'm just saying. But, sorry for the tangent there. I think this map just suffers from not having it, like, DM-oriented. I completely agree with the fact that there are just so many... It's not even, like, it doesn't even have to deal with spawns. Like, there's just so many areas where it's, like, it's gonna be so impossible to take up fights. Like, on your entrance, I think, into A before the long part, that whole area from, T-spawn into the long area, if you're spawned anywhere in there, that's like a death zone. You're so screwed. It's very hard to do anything. You can make arguments about A-long itself. You know, people don't like long angles. I don't like them personally, but, you know, I will always tell myself that's a skill issue. I gotta get better at that. That's fine. But there's that. And then, like, mid, everywhere past the mid doors area, I don't like. From the window distance to, you know, the other areas of mid, I actually love those spots for fighting. That's probably some of my favorite spots in DM, when the map was live, in competitive queue, swift play, whatever. Like, I feel like those are like the ego challenge points, and I love those. Those can be really fun. Yeah. And then I will arguably say I could see points of it being a problem, but A has a lot of fun areas as well. Or A, I believe. The closer part. Maybe that's B-side. But the one that does not have the long angles. I feel like that could be fun.
I can't remember either. It's been so long since this fucking map's been in the competitive queue. I don't even remember where anything is on the map. Now, Sunset, I don't think I've ever had a problem fighting on this map. For me, this is another S tier deathmatch map. I think all the spawns here are fair. I think you have a pretty good chance of having a really good time practicing your gunfight hygienes and practicing a variety of weapons here. It's definitely not as good as like Split with like its weapon variety. There are some weapons here that are going to shine more than others for sure, but I do think that the way how this map is designed, it really does teach you, at least for deathmatch, a lot of principles on how to fight in a lot of different scenarios. If someone's going to pop out at you and try to like, you know, Ferrari peek you, there's a lot of angles there where you can practice that. Someone's gonna Ferrari peek you and you can just shoot him and kill him. You have a lot of options where you can just like one tap someone, or you can just hold a tight angle and peek away. You have a lot of options for what you can do there, and I like Sunset a lot. The spawns here are some of the best ones in Deathmatch, and that's saying a lot considering that all the spawns in Deathmatch are pretty shitty, but this one is one of the best ones. They feel the most fair for me personally.
I think Sunset is like Split too. I've always said this since the map came out. I feel like the way you fight it, you know, you definitely need to take a lot of mid space. Entrances are super claustrophobic, so you gotta, you know, you gotta play out mid a lot. That's just kind of how it's been done. And I think everywhere that you fight on on Sunset is a pretty good, you know, area to fight at. Like I can pretty much pull out almost any area on Sunset in terms of DM. Sorry.
Yeah. No, I know.
And I think they're pretty good. I mean, what your longest angles are maybe like certain areas on A site, I suppose, and maybe the B site entrance and mid, of course. But I think they're all pretty fair for the most part, I think.
I agree.
And it's like if someone is holding those areas for some reason, they're gonna get bombed. Like there's just so many different points on the map. You can't hold areas like that for very long. I think the quote unquote easiest place to hold is that elbow part in mid, but I would say it's super easy to get swung on in that area. So that's not even the safest area to hold in terms of a deathmatch. So
that's true. But I think,
yeah,
that also goes to what I'm saying is that there are some even the problem areas of this map in deathmatch, you still at least have the chance to fight back in most occasions. The way how you're spawned on this map in a lot of the areas, it's not like you're getting killed by a dude where you don't know where the fuck he is most of the time. Most of the time you'll at least have like a little bit of a chance to figure out where they were, unless you just get a really unfortunate timing of a spawn. But I think this one's one of the better ones. Lotus. I think Lotus is also probably here, maybe. Honestly, I don't know. I like Ascent more, but I think Lotus might be better. The only problem with Lotus, and honestly, its good points really do make up for its bad ones, is that all of the T side of the map is just terrible, I think. I think it's just a big ass area, big corridors. Also, fighting on A on this map is particularly troublesome. Mound's not great either. There are trouble areas with this map, but this is an example of like, at least people when they're holding on Lotus are holding like real players. You'll almost always find people holding extremely common angles here, where it feels like a lot of other deathmatch spots, people can just be anywhere. Sure, they will be at common angles that you'll fight in your comp games and your unrated games, but there's also a lot more unpredictability where there's just like a dude holding someplace that they normally never would. On Lotus, that's almost never the case, at least in my experience. I always find that people are holding exactly where I expect them to be. And although it has its problems, this map is pretty good for the most part. It's not perfect, and like I said, it does have some problem areas, particularly both, even CT spawn has its problems too. But I think it's fair to either put it here, maybe even top of B as well, honestly. Actually, top of B might be the best spot, because those problem areas really do, they can really bring it down. Any thoughts?
Honestly, like once you made the switch to B, I think my points were a little more like I agree a lot more with the B pick rather than the A pick. Personally, it's just like pretty much all the spots that you said. You know, the D spawn, CT spawn, all those points. I hate fighting there at Rebel. For me, in terms of a deathmatch, not a fan of Lotus as much. I do know, like, obviously, as I brought up points before for, like, you know, Split
and arguably Sunset that you can you have a lot of gun availability to use during the deathmatch. I feel like Lotus, you don't have that a lot. Granted, I totally understand a lot of people are using it to warm up for comp, so it's not like, wow, I should be running around with Frenzy and see how well that goes because people are going to respect like a pistol battle. I understand people are pulling out Vandals, Ops, Phantoms. I totally get that. But I'm just saying, it's cool to be able to try out different things, and that's why, I like Split versus, Lotus with all of its problem areas is probably a B for me. I think for me personally, Haven is stronger than Lotus in terms of a deathmatch map. But honestly, anywhere in B is fine.
Honestly,
I like that.
I agree with that because honestly, I think you've convinced me. I would put it down a little bit more because I think that is a plus to a map where you're able to use both comp weapons and non-comp weapons. Like, let's say you're practicing your eco or your anti-eco or whatever. You just want to play shotguns. Or you just want to have fun. And you can do that in a lot of these other maps. You can't do that on these ones. If you walk out on like the D maps, for example, and you use anything that's not a Vandal, an Op, some sort of sniper, or like a Phantom, you're losing the fight every time, especially on these maps. But the further up the list you go, the more viable other guns and other picks become. And I think that's a versatility that a lot of maps are lacking. Hence why playing on these maps feels so fucking shitty for me personally, because I honestly don't like that certain maps, it really feels like the only way you're going to be viable on the maps is by using just hold an angle with the op, or just shoot a guy in the head with the Vandal. That just kind of removes a lot of personality for how you can use your weapon in certain scenarios, and depending on the agent that you have to be successful, because it takes away a lot of strategy and things, and it just kind of boils down the map to being, well, it's a long fight angle, let me just hold back post plant and spam the bomb, let me just hold an angle with the op that they have literally no chance of reacting to. So yeah, I guess that's the tier list. Do you have any other closing thoughts or anything else you want to say?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm just gonna highlight, if for some reason a Riot dev stumbles upon this with my, I guess not super, high tier, whatever, Valorant spiel and stuff like that. If there's anything to do for deathmatches, please make some of these maps more deathmatch viable. Like I said, I do think that, if for some reason Pearl was in, there would be a huge way of making a deathmatch viable. I can easily see, believe it or not, no matter how much hate we give Abyss, I can see this being super deathmatch viable. You just need to cut out certain spots to make it really bad.
If they cut out half the map, I think it'd be better.
Like cutting out B and like half a mid, like I feel like it might actually be kind of great. Breeze and Icebox, I don't really know. I mean, we've said so much stuff about those maps, I don't really know. Maybe there's a way to fix it. I don't know.
Icebox, I legitimately think should be taken out of the deathmatch rotation. It is so bad. It's horrible. Yeah. I've almost never had an enjoyable experience doing a deathmatch on Icebox.
I don't know. Yeah, Icebox, not really feeling that. But yeah, if there's any hope at all, and I know this is primarily about deathmatches in general, but I think just for my opinion about the maps in Valorant, yes, if you can make more, themed activities for the maps, I think that would be super great. Please add more, different game modes other than competitive, very oriented game modes. I feel like that'll help out, just how a lot of the community feels about the game. But overall, for deathmatches, I agree with this. I support this tier list.
All right. That. Well, then I guess that's the video. So thank you all for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all the YouTube shabazz, all that bullshit. Got more Valorant content coming up too, more Elden Ring content. Got a lot of stuff on the way. So yeah, stay tuned. Thank you for everyone watching. All the homies out there, you know who you are, for supporting your boy. I appreciate that. And yeah, if you have any opinions on Deathmatch or just Valorant maps in general, and if you'd like to see us do maybe like just a general competitive map tier list or anything else, just let us know. Put your shit down in the comments. I do read them. Anyway, y'all have a good day. Happy 4th of July, because we're recording this on the 4th. Yeah, that's all I have to say. Peace out.